And so what do we do to attract them? And so that was goal number one. And, and I'll add more to that, to encourage and offer business opportunities for the millennial generation, enticing them to make Flemington home an amazing place to raise a family. So if you want them to come back, it has to be more than just a great downtown. It needs to include where's the jobs. And so that was really important. Number two was to increase home ownership in Flemington. Because right now you have about 30% of your population owns home. The national average is nearly 50%. In many cities, it's 60%. And when people own homes, and I'm talking about condominiums, it doesn't always have to be, single-family homes, but when people have ownership, they have long-term commitment to the community. And so that was number two. Number three is to make downtown Flemington the showcase in New Jersey and an outstanding destination for both investment as a place to come after work and on weekends, and as a place that people want to say, wow, I want to live there. This is so cool. And that is really important. And then number four is to attract local and regional colleges. We want to get colleges and stuff here. We'd like to see a culinary school in Flemington, these kinds of things, to bring them in. So those are the four primary goals. So everything we did, we had to say, will this accomplish that goal? Will this accomplish that goal? And so that was what drove this. And then finally, as the mayor said, to make Flemington cool again. Because right now when we did the online questionnaire, not a whole lot of people said, well, we don't need to do this. Flemington's already a really cool place. But, for some reason, people said when we go to hang out somewhere, we go to Lambertville, we go to New Hope, we didn't hear a lot of people say we hang out in Flemington. That's not good. And that's what we have to change. And so this whole branding thing, there's two kinds. There's the feel-good generic brand that says, come to Flemington, we're a great place to live, work, and play. Which, by the way, pretty much all 19,000 cities and towns in the United States use that. Matter of fact, we found 4,000 towns that use those very words. A great place to live, work, and play. It has to go beyond the feel-good. And so we're talking about economic development brand. And this may seem kind of crass that I'm showing cash falling here. But the bottom line is, and the mayor made a good point, that without a business community, you're a ghost town. And by the way, wouldn't it be good if the commercial tax base carried the load rather than you, the residential tax base? Wouldn't that make sense? And so this is about economic development. And by the way, the borough, the more money it can generate from those property values, increasing them by making a cool downtown, helps them provide more services and more amenities to you as citizens. And that is really the goal, to import more than you export. I mean, it's balance of trade. And so when we did this questionnaire, which, by the way, I'm going to talk about this, we asked people, where to go to hang out? When friends and family visit you, this is what you said. Lambertville. Oh, we take them to New Hope. Oh, we go to Frenchtown. Oh, we go to Clinton. Oh, we go to Somerville. I mean, that was just a few of the people on the list. And so, that means you have a lot of leakage, people earning their money here, and guess what? You have a lot of business owners and people that don't live here either. And so what we have to do is make this a place that you're on that list. As a matter of fact, our goal, wouldn't it be cool if people in Lambertville said, let's go hang out in Flemington this weekend? That's what you want to do. And that's what's going to change. So with that as our goals, here's the 10 things you need to know about branding. Number one, branding is what sets you apart from everyone else. And by the way, one thing I want to say is, a lot of times people say, yeah, but we can't compete with the Clintons and the Lambertvilles because they're all river towns. I'm telling you right now, that's an excuse. Go up to Lidditz, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of other towns that are not river towns that are very successful. And so, but this is the big deal. What sets you apart from everyone else? Because I don't know that there's a town in New Jersey or anywhere in the Northeast that doesn't have a historic downtown. It has to go beyond that. And then number 2, a brand is a perception. When you say, I'm from Flemington, what do they think? Oh, you used to have that really great outlet mall. Oh, you're the home of Flemington Furs. Oh, Stengel, what is their perception? And we don't want their perception to be, oh yeah, you used to be known for. Lindbergh, those kinds of things. So that is, it's a feeling what somebody has about you. And by the way, how they're created is first of all visual cues when we drive in. Whether it's on Main Street, whether it's 202, you name it, visual cues. The people and attitudes. Word of mouth. Publicity, social media. By the way, these two you could combine. So when you say, I'm from Flemington, what do people think? And whatever they think, that's your brand. And that's what you need to know. And number 3, logos and slogans are not brands. They're marketing messages. They're kind of the exclamation point. I mean, they make up 2% of a brand, but they're going to get 90. There's a logo here. But you know what? Here's my question for you. Have you ever said, I want to head over to Westfield because they have a really cool logo? Or have you ever said, I really don't want to go to Trenton because I think their logo sucks. So I don't want you to get hung up on it. And I know what's going to happen. It's going to be going around, well, I really don't like that logo. At the end of the day, that's not why we're moving here, coming here, visiting here, investing here. So I want to get that out of the way. That's a brand mark, not a brand. I mean, after all, would you buy Reebok over Nike because you think the Nike logo, a check mark, is kind of dumb? No, you buy it because of the product. Or would you say, you know what? I'm only going to buy a Chevy because I like their logo better than I like the Ford logo. Doesn't matter. Or do you say, I really like Coke better than Pepsi because it's red. It's my favorite color. And that's what you need to know. And then number 4, you never use focus groups. A focus group is a good way to come back with, Flemington, we have something for everyone. Have you ever gone anywhere that had something for everyone? And so you never use focus groups. And we had a team, they were not a focus group, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And number 5, brands evoke emotion. It's a feeling. And that is really critical. And then finally, number 6, all successful brands are built on product, not marketing. When we first had our agreement to work with you as a town or as a borough, we had people come up to us and say, well, why are you talking about downtown? And you're going to hear things. We're talking about public markets and plazas and what gets developed where. I thought your job was branding. All brands are built in product. You know what the deal is? Marketing gets us here once. Product brings us back. So all brands are built on product. All brands. And then number 7, you never roll out a brand. You're going to see some sample ads and concepts today. That doesn't mean we're going to use them tomorrow. Because a brand is a promise. If you put it out there and we come here and we go, well, where is it? You become the boy who cried wolf, and pretty soon, they come out, it wasn't here, they're not going to come back. So some of this we won't do immediately. And then number 8, you cannot do branding by public consent. It doesn't mean you don't ask, because we asked. And we heard from more than 1,200 of you. But the decision is made on feasibility, not just local sentiment. You'll never want to get it to agree until you water it down to something really generic. And then, you cannot let local politics kill your branding effort. I love this quote. A byproduct of brands for the people is the committee that compromises and kills a potential brand home run. This is why you never see statues of committees in public parks. You see brave leaders. If we want to do this top down, this is how it works. And I'll tell you, if there was ever a poster child for this, it would be Flemington. We start off with enthusiasm. This is really cool. I think we could really make a difference here. We can finally get this town moving the direction it should be going. And then you start planning, which we've been doing all this week and we'll be doing for the next couple of months. And then there's disillusionment, and some people say, well, I really don't like that. I think you left this out, or you didn't do that, or you didn't put the whole focus on the Lindbergh trial, or you didn't do this. And all of a sudden there's disillusionment. And with that comes fear and panic. And with the fear and panic, there's search for the guilty, punishment of the innocent, and finally praise and honors for the non-participants. Did I get that about right? I mean, do you agree? You're the poster child for this. And so, number 9, you build your brand on feasibility. Of all the ideas we heard from you, which one is the most feasible to accomplish those goals we put out there? And then finally, number 10, you build your brand through public relations. Advertising is used to maintain your ownership position. Because remember, brands are a feeling, and that's PR. That's word of mouth. That's social media. By the way, in the old days, it used to take 20 years to brand a place, to put that perception out there. Now you can do it in less than 3 because of social media and those conversations. And by the way, there are only 3 killers of a branding effort. There's never 4. Number 1 is local politics. And we're not talking about your elected officials. We're talking about your businesses, your local organizations. We're talking about the people. And I got to tell you something. We're here this whole week. And by the way, I'm here with Jordan over here, Greg, our creative director, and John Kelch. There are 4 of us here this week. And on Tuesday, we almost walked. And the comment I said was, if you don't implement this plan, if you're going to sit there and bow to the negatives and the people, if you're going to do that, if this is going to get in the way of success, then don't waste our time and your money. How many plans do you have sitting on shelves gathering dust in this town? And by the way, we're not here to earn a check. We're here to make a difference. And we're here to facilitate the process, not plop a brand on you. Everything you're going to see came from you guys, came from the town, the borough. So number 1 killer is local politics, and it's worse with membership organizations than it ever is with elected officials. By the way, if you come as a unified group to your borough council or to your freeholders, guess what? They will follow the will of the people. But when the negatives are the only ones that ever squishy in Pennsylvania, whether it's Napa Valley and wine, whether it's Nashville and country music, whether it's Orlando and Disney and all those attractions, all private sector. The best, most sustainable brands are built on private sector, not public amenities. That's why being a river town is an excuse, not a reality. And by the way, the reason that's in yellow is because you have good champions. They will fight through the politics and they will find a way to make it happen. So we spent a lot of time this week trying to figure out who's our champions going to push this forward in the spite of some negativity. That makes sense? And so, what's been happening over the last several months is we've been going through a 13-step branding process. Sounds like AA, doesn't it? And so I'm going to walk you through this. The first thing we did is we put together a brand development team of local people. And we are not consultants, we're facilitators. Nobody can come from the outside and tell you what you should be known for. But we can be the facilitator. And by the way, I was quite the heavy with our team, your team this week. I mean, I'm sure there were times going, why did we ever bring this guy and his team in here? I mean, I beat him up pretty bad. And so, just so you know, this was our initial team. Their job is to help us find this. And so these are the people that have been working really, really hard. They've been going through online questionnaires. They've been dealing with public outreach. We put together interviews. I mean, and by the way, the ones that are in yellow, represent private sector. This is a grassroots effort, not top-down. And by the way, the reason you can't do top-down branding is because branding has a narrow focus. And your elected officials were elected to be all things to all people. Brands can't be. That's why it needs to be. And by the way, the borough is absolutely a partner in this, but we wanted to make sure that we had a lot of private sector. So that was our brand development team. Then the second thing we did is we asked you to weigh in on Flemington's future. And by the way, 1,240 of you weighed in. As a matter of fact, here is a printout of what you said. There was no multiple choice. And by the way, this is double-sided printing in little tiny print in single-spaced. Do you think the people in Flemington had something to say? Yeah. Some of it's hilarious. Some of it is downright mean-spirited. And some of it was extremely provocative, but it was great. There were no formula answers. We let you just weigh in. We let you vent. 1,240 people. That's pretty amazing. And then we interviewed more than 30 people in different groups. And what we did is we reviewed many of your past projects. We don't want to come in here and just reinvent what you've already done. And so the other thing we did is more than 100 local citizens attended our assessment. That's when I came in and secret shopped you. And I heard about a lot of that this time too. Well, you came in front of my store and I don't like what you said. You know, and that's fine. You know, sometimes I could say things you might want to say but can't without paying a political price. Because we see it from the outside. But so there was a tremendous amount of outreach. As a matter of fact, a month we let people weigh in. And here's who weighed in. People that live within the borough limits, 22%. Within 10 miles, 63%. You know what? 85% of the people that weighed in, Flemington is their downtown. That's really amazing. And then we did care about people from the outside. We want to know what people in Clinton, Lambertville, New Hope, all these other places, Somerville, we want to know what they think. Because whatever they think, we want to say, what can we do to get them to come here? Instead of vice versa. And then under 30, we had 16%, 31 to 45, 31%, 46 plus 38%, which is a little heavy on the elderly end. We would hope that we'd add more 31 to 45s, but we still had a fairly good mix. And then finally, women, 68%, men, 32%. Usually like 60-40, but we're okay with this for three reasons. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting for the guys. Usually there's a guy in the audience who says, that's all? So women make 70% of the decisions of where we're going to go this weekend or on vacation. And women make 70% of the decision where we're going to move, where we're going to invest, what we're going to do. So we're flat out good with that. We know who rules the nest. There's no guys complaining about it. There's guys in the audience going. So, what you said. We asked you, what do you think the three greatest assets are? And they said Main Street, shopping, history. And by the way, there was many more in this. We just tried to find the common themes. And then we asked what the challenges were. And of course, Main Street, the hotel, the parking, liquor license or lack thereof, Liberty Village dining, local politics, lack of pubs and nightlife, general themes. And then we asked, what needs to be done? Bring Main Street back was clearly, and we didn't put it in the questionnaire that this was about downtown. This was about Flemington, yet this is what people said. Bring Main Street back. Better shopping and dining. Bring downtown to life, especially after work. A lot of people said we need a movie theater. And so, we heard that. And then we also heard branding focus, agriculture. Bring back kind of the agriculture. Look at where we're at in New Jersey. Healthy living, crafts and arts, street fairs and festivals, shopping, music, sports, the raceway. We had people say, bring the raceway back. It's a little late right now, but I'm just telling you what people said. And so, and the history, was a lot of it wasn't just the Lindbergh trial. And by the way, we felt really honored. We actually used this courtroom this week. And I got to tell you, we were really honored to use it. And it's an amazing story. But let me get something out of the way right now. You've been known for the Lindbergh trial for, what, 85 years or so? How's that working for you? And so, not throwing it under the bus, but you need another reason to come here. And then while we're here, we're going to go, wow, look at this amazing courthouse. And so, feelings to portray. So what we did is say, what is our brand focus? What do people say? Well, we want to be known for our Victorian or Greek Revival architecture. We want to be eclectic and funky. How do we be? I love, one person wrote, we want to be hangout friendly. The second I read that, it stuck with me ever since, and a lot of our team, your team. And then country cosmopolitan, which I thought was kind of a cool mix. And then charming. We want to be walkable. We want to be fun. And so we did that. So we did, and we read this. I mean, this is fascinating reading. And there's no names tied to it, so people could just say what they felt. And it's pretty amazing. So then we have to figure, well, who the heck are we trying to attract? And we started geographically, and the mayor kind of told you this, that within 3 miles, you know what? Forget borough limits, county lines. Have you ever gone anywhere and said, whoa, there's the city limits, turn around quick? You know, we don't. So what we do is we look at radiuses, not town limits. Within 3 miles, you have 22,000 people. So quit thinking like a town of 4,400 and start thinking, or a borough of 4,400, and start thinking like, wow, there's our core population within just a 3-mile drive. If you go out 5 miles, it goes to 34,000, because now we're kind of in the country a little bit. And if you go out that 10 miles, which gets you up to Clinton, you know, down through Somerville, that area, look at that, 105,000 people. If we could get just 1,000 of those to come downtown Flemington after working on weekends, you know what? You'd have a booming, thriving downtown. You have to have something open after working on weekends. And so, but that's the way. So this whole week we kept going, think like a town of 100,000. Think like that. Because these people live out there. The people that live up in this area could go to Clinton in 5 minutes. We want to make it worth them driving 20 minutes to come to Flemington. And then we said, okay, that's geographic. But now, that's part of the geographic. And there you go. So there's our focus. What do we do to get these people within a 20-minute drive to spend more time and more money in Flemington? Then, how do we get those people from the towns around us, Frenchtown, you name it, to come here? And then, what about the visitors all coming here for Diamond Nation and, over at Health Quest, they have like 9,000 people belong to that club. Are we doing anything? They're trying to get people into Flemington. But, by the way, are they coming into Flemington when they're done working out? These people drive half an hour to go there. So how do we get them to come here? And then, how do we become a destination so that rather than you driving up to Lancaster and other places, they're coming here? Because you used to be that. So, demographic, the millennials. Whatever we do, we have to cater to that group. And then the Generation X family. That's the people in between. And then people looking for investment opportunities. Because we need some investment back in this town. There's a lot of people here that are just waiting for somebody else to be first. We need some pioneers. Community lifestyle. Those looking for activity-driven, entertaining downtown. We're not talking about the bar scene, but a place that's lively. And then we're looking for people looking for a healthy lifestyle. Hunterdon County has been consistently the healthiest county in the state. We need to leverage that. Walkability, biking, clean air. And then entrepreneurial spirits, artisans, foodies, free thinkers. Those are the pioneers that founded this place. We need them back. So we did all that. We compiled what we heard from you, all of that work, to try to come up with this. And then, I always say, always do what you're afraid to do, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And that's been a problem in Flemington. Nobody's willing to put themselves out on a limb, because when they do, they get shot down usually. And so always do what you're afraid to do. And so we had to narrow down everything you said, and arts and culture was one of those. And by the way, these are in alphabetical order, not in a priority. Can we play up the visual and performing arts, the galleries, the eclectic boutiques and shops, that you find at Turntable, whether it's comics or whether it's the artisans over at Stengel or Stengel, that. Bring that back. You've got a history of that. Farm to market, farm to table, a year-round public market maybe, restaurants, some education about healthy living. And then, of course, health and wellness was big. Great healthcare system, health question, HMC. And then your history, of course, whether it's the Lindbergh trial, your architecture. I mean, we could go back to Stengel and keep going. You have a tremendous amount of history here. And then sports and recreation, with Diamond Nation, the walkability, you have to do a lot of running events, cycling events. Could that be the brand? And then even, so we had those. And we thought, is there a way to combine those without being all things to all people? And we thought, so our brand focus is going to be healthy living, farm to table, artisan foods, craft breweries, handcrafted goods and art. That's our focus. That's not marketing text. That's our focus. And so once we had this focus, we had to come up with who's going to lead this. We had our brand development team. They got us to this point. They got us to that point. They did the heavy lifting. And now what we're doing, shifting gears. So who is going to lead this effort? And this is never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. And indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. And here's the big deal. When odds are 1 in a million, be that one. So here's what we are looking for. We need people that are going, when you see this, you're going to see what it looks like and feels like. We need people that go, that is so cool. I want to be engaged. If people go, yeah, it's okay, you're out. You know what I mean? This town needs some strong leaders that are going to go out there and we're going to move forward. That's how you were founded. Number 2, they must be doers, not directors. That's another problem in Flemington. We got lots of people telling everybody what to do, but are they actually out there doing it? No. And then number 3, they need to be willing to get some hits along the way, and the hits are probably going to start about 10 minutes after this meeting's over. I'm telling you right now. And then they will be brand cops. That means there's a look, a feel. They'll protect it. They'll nurture it. They'll watch it. They'll make this place cool. And number 5, half should have a vestige as a brand. So if we're going to be known for healthy living, good food, farm to table, locally sourced, then we want to make sure we have the restaurants, the businesses, that's their focus. They are most willing to champion the cause, even in the face of adversity, because their paycheck depends on it. And remember what I said, the best brands are built on private sector foundation. And then number 6, they're the voice of the brand. You know what? After this meeting, I told our team to not ask any of you, do you like it? Or are you okay with this? I told them they're going to come up to you and say, isn't this cool? Do you want to help? That's the question they'll ask. Because you know what? If we go out, by the way, we already heard from the people. If we go out and ask for permission, you know what's going to happen in Flemington? Over. And then number 7, they can't be politically divisive. They can absolutely be elected officials. But they can't be people that are out there sniping at other people, that we need to be part of this. And so they'll act as a steering committee to keep going. And then number 9, they will push the agenda forward and they will never take no for an answer. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then number 10, at least half should be under 40. You know, I got to tell you, it was funny. We sat down as a group, And our whole team, when I'm talking about our team and your team, we sat down and we had a hard time coming up with a list of people that were under 40. That's something we got to change. By the way, we did. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. That's my life's motto. And we need those people. And so here's the motto of a true champion. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride!" That's what we're looking for. And if this is you, you'll see a lot of people in the audience wearing badges. Talk to them. Say, what can I do to help? Let us know. And we're really fortunate. We have worked in nearly 1,400 towns in 45 states, all across Canada and Western Europe. And there's some pretty cool champions out there. This is Alpena, Michigan. Population 10,000. Now remember, I'm calling your population 100,000. They're across the state from Traverse City, which is where everybody go. And this is all their brand champions. But even these people started to flitter out as there was consternation and everything. But Jeff right here and Missy, they just kept towing the line. And by the way, this guy over here, he said, I'm totally on board because I'm married to her and I'll do whatever she says. But every town needs champions. This is Moosehead Lake, Maine. I mean, this is Greenville, Maine, population 1,100. You know, the next biggest town is like a couple-hour drive away, Bangor. Yet they're doing it. Yet they're spending millions to revitalize their downtown. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, when we talk about Oskaloosa, Iowa, you know, we had some great, he cracks me up. We had some great people there, Caldwell, Idaho. And you know what? We're going to get a picture of your team when we're done, by the way. All you wearing badges. You cannot succeed without champions. And then you need to be private sector champions. And so we've got our initial starting list of people on this committee, and it's not done yet. But we wanted to make sure you had your best restaurants there, that you had art there, that, that we had, people that were investors. And this is just our initial list. But these are people that have said, and I'm putting them on the line now, that have said, we will go out there and help champion this in the face of negativity. And I'm sure there's people in this room that are thinking right now, well, I don't like that person. And you know what? I got to tell you, on Tuesday, you know what I said? I feel like a hall monitor. I mean, you ask our team. I mean, there were times this week, you know what? I beat them up pretty bad. You know why? Probably more than any place we've ever worked. You know why? Because you probably have more potential than just about anywhere we've ever worked. But you're stuck in the days of Liberty Village, Lindbergh, Stangl, and you've got to, somewhere you have to move forward. And that's what's really critical. So we did all that. Then number 6, product. Where's the product that's going to accomplish those 4 goals? And so it includes things like, where's our list here? An amazing public market. We want you to have a year-round public market that's also a pavilion. That's active 250 days a year. We're not talking about a pop-up and down market, and this takes nothing away from the Stengel market. Amazing public market right in the middle of downtown somewhere. A program public plaza. How about a reimagined downtown business mix? That's a more nightlife and retail. What about a wayfinding system? You do have wayfinding. Those are the directional signs, and they tell us how to get the Flemington furs in downtown. But really, if you're downtown, and I want to go over to Liberty Village or Turntable, you know what I'm tempted to do as somebody from the outside? Drive. And that's not exactly an easy drive. And try to get from Liberty Village to Stangl. But it's a 3-minute walk. Why don't we do wayfinding that says 5-minute walk to Liberty Village, 4-minute walk to Stangl, or wherever it is? See what I mean? You want a walkability? Do those kinds of things. Interactive public art. I'll show you some of this stuff. Affordable housing stock. If we're going to attract the millennials back, and you're one of the most expensive, you are the most expensive county in the state to live, what can we do to help encourage them to come back? Better connections to Liberty Village in these places. Better connections through signage or bikes or whatever. Parking structure. We have ideas where you could put that. But somewhere you need to do that rather than just say, well, let's just have more surface parking everywhere. And then artist live workspace would be really cool here. Beautification, additional beautification. Benches, bike racks, planters, free Wi-Fi downtown. And the 5 things about downtown, I did this last time, so if you're here, bear with me. The number one activity of visitors in the world, shopping, dining, entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. And by the way, that's where 80% of non-lodging spending takes place. But you know what? A lot of people have been staying at the Hampton. We're over at the Hampton Inn. A lot of people are staying there. There was a chorale group there yesterday that came from Delaware. And they're doing high school circuits. I didn't see them saying, yeah, we got to get into downtown Flemington. I don't know how many people are out here doing these baseball tournaments and everything at Diamond Nation. Are they coming in downtown Flemington, or are they just heading back to Clinton or somewhere else? And you're missing that. Downtowns are back. As a matter of fact, that whole 80% thing, that's why Disney put downtown Disney outside each of its parks. To get that 80%. Number 2, downtowns are critical to your success. The heart and soul of any community, besides its people, is its downtown. Even site selectors, they call them site selectors. These are people that come in to look for places to establish industry or bigger businesses. Site selectors drive right into a downtown, will walk your downtown, and the health of your downtown economically, to them, is the health of your community. And they will walk into your restaurants and sit down and just start asking questions, which I did when we did the assessment. And most of the time when we did the assessment and I asked questions, people started venting. And after about 3 or 4 of those, I went, if I was an investor, I would never come to Flemington. Because these people at the restaurants, and by the way, they all are well-meaning, but they say, well, yeah, over there they did this and that, and that's everywhere we went. It was just like this sniping at each other. If you don't hang out in your downtown, neither will visitors. We go where you go. If you're going to Lambertville, guess what? That's where they're going. You need to bring downtown back. And they are back. And in a big way. You know what? The last suburban mall in the United States was built 25 years ago. They are a dying breed. How many of you remember Petula Clark, 1964, downtown? Okay, you just dated yourselves. But you know what? Those days are back. The future of downtowns, though, is where we go after working on weekends. I'm going to give you 3 big statistics right now. I call it the 787 rule. There it is. 70% of first-time sales come from curb appeal. We all travel. Have you ever said these very words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We do it. Curb appeal, first-time sales. Once we're there, we're fine. 80% of all spending is by women, 7, 8, and 70% of retail spending takes place after 6 p.m. I asked our group, why do you go to Lambertville? Well, after work, they're open. Somerville, you name it. Yeah, after work, they're open. That's where we're at. There's a shoe store. Shoe stores you don't see in malls. The sun is now going to bleach out the whole screen here. This is Brown Shoes. They're a shoe store that are in rural towns all over the United States, and they're doing land-off business. When's the last time shoe stores ever worked in downtowns? They're back. I don't know whether this is good or bad, but it tells you the importance of downtown that Walmart is now doing neighborhood markets in downtowns. And like I said, I don't know whether that's good or bad. But the point is, they're coming downtowns for a reason, because people are coming back downtowns. And downtowns are the future. You know, and when it comes to beautification, this is one little place up in Canada. That is a coffee shop. That's before, that's after. By the way, the retail sales went up 400% from that to that. Fact number 4, in economic development, tourism, and community development, there is absolutely positive, I'm stealing the words from FedEx, nothing that's more important than your downtown. And when we met, we had some heated discussions. Yesterday, one was about Liberty Village. Should we address Liberty Village and Stengel and Turntable? Do we put a public market over there? Do we put plazas over there? Do we turn those into artist live workspace over there? And we kept coming back and said, you know what? In the past, those might have drove your downtown, right? People came by the bus loads, the train load to come shop at Liberty Village. Wouldn't it be cool if we made downtown the anchor and that drove them? And that's what we decided to do. We're going to make Main Street so cool that people are going to say, wow, there's so many people on Main Street. What can we do over here in Liberty Village or Turntable over to make it bring those people over here too? A role reversal. And so that's how important it is. And here's why downtowns are back. We're in the age of third places. First place is the place we live. It's our home. The second place is the place we work. The third place is the place we go to hang out. We need your downtown to be what one of your questionnaire people said, hangout friendly. I mean, heck, Starbucks built an entire brand around third places. And by the way, you know, I'd love it if you never had any chains in your downtown. Matter of fact, we work with communities that actually do zoning orders that don't allow chains, so it's organic to you. So, you know, I have nothing against Starbucks. After all, our whole crew is from Seattle. But we want it to be organic to you. These places we hang out, sidewalk cafes, all that, that's what happened. So you want to bring downtown back? What comes first? The merchants? You say, well, we want a bakery, we want a butcher shop, we want such and such downtown. You have a whole list of things we want downtown. But what comes first? Getting people here 250 days a year. And so we had a conversation. Your bid works very hard for you. Matter of fact, you as a community produce nearly 40 events a year. Those 40 events accommodate about 50 days of the year. Guess what? You're still 200 days short. It doesn't work. And so I'm not saying the events were a bad idea or anything, but you have to have more than 50 days worth of activity downtown. You need 250. So I want to talk about a couple of them. The top 2 revitalization strategies in all of North America for bringing downtown back are public plazas and public markets. I want to talk about public plazas. And I was, look at that. People are the heart of a downtown, your plaza is the soul. You know what? Go to Europe. Go to Siena in Italy, or go to Brazil. Go to just about any country that you're going to find in Western Europe, South America, Eastern Europe even, all over the world. And you'll find they wrap around a piazza. It has worked 500, 600, 700 years. We're a baby country. We finally won out of our cars. What a concept. And so we want plazas. I want to just show you one. I'm going to do a very short version of it. We worked in Rapid City, South Dakota. Population 70,000 in the same population that you have 100,000. But by the way, their next biggest town is Billings, Montana, 3.5-hour drive away. So, you know what they did? Right in the middle of downtown, we said, take out this 60-space parking lot and turn it into a plaza. You could even tear down the Sears building there because pigeons were living in it. And the guy said, you know what, Roger? I just bought that Sears building. And I gave the city $1 million to build that plaza next to my new building. Well, that's what it looks like in the summer. It's got a 1,500 square foot little splash pad there. It's got a stage right there. You can see there's a band performing there. I took this picture on a Sunday morning. And by the way, they had like 30% vacancies in their downtown. Their downtown was dying. I called them the hole in the middle of the donut, because 4 million people go there, and they go to Mount Rushmore and Sturgis and Deadwood and the Black Hills and Devil's Tower and Badlands National Park, and then they come back, they weren't in downtown. Even the locals didn't hang out in downtown. That's it in the summer. Now, by the way, no vacancies in their downtown and a waiting list of people want to have businesses downtown. And by the way, this is active 120 days a year, but then in the winter, ice 120 days a year. That is 240 days worth of activity downtown that we never had to close the street off for. They make 100, by the way, this is bigger than the rink in Rockefeller Center. This is 8,000 square feet. That one's about 7,800 square feet, so just a little bigger. But here's the point. They make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates, and they have to dole them out because it gets too crowded. You need that. You need an anchor tenant in your downtown. An anchor tenant is something that we will come for, and then while we're here, we're going to eat at your restaurants. We're going to shop at your shops. That's what you need to do. I love this. This is Movies on the Square. Every Monday night during this time, they do Movies on the Square, free. Average attendance is 3,500. And I love what somebody wrote. I grew up in Rapid City. It was never as cool as it is now. That is what we need people to say about Flemington. And so doing a central plaza, that has water, and you can shut off the water and have chairs there for concerts on the stage, or you can have easels there for art shows. You have vendor spaces around, and all plazas should be monetized, which means restaurants and retail on the square. These are just a couple of samples. And when you have central plazas like this, you end up being a gathering spot. It doesn't matter whether it's yoga, exercise. You want to be healthy living? We'd love to see this kind of stuff happening in the middle of your downtown. All the cafes, the Taste of Flemington, all of these kinds of things, like your restaurant week next week. So that's one. But there's another one. And we called it just temporarily Main Street Market. And we thought, could we do this in New Jersey? Or in Flemington? Because there's already some in New Jersey. We thought, could we build a building like this? Notice this has all these garage doors, and they all have windows in them. Would it be cool if we could build a building like this? Now, it wouldn't look like this. I'll show you in a minute. But you could roll up all these doors, and it's an open, covered pavilion. So that weather is never an objection to coming downtown Flemington, ever. Because was it yesterday or the day before it was raining? I didn't see many people walking around up and down your downtown. So it could be like, now, we don't want it to look like that because you're a historic downtown, but, just right across the street, I love the look of this built. This is the police station. I just like the look of the architecture and everything. So when you see that other one, we want to make sure it fits into the architecture and the character of Flemington. But what's cool about a market like this is inside, there's always a center stage. There's always entertainment. There's always artisans. 1/3 of the vendors in there might be artisans, local. 1/3 of them might be prepared foods, raw foods in season. You know what? You know what's cool about people in New York City and Philly and stuff? Yeah, I've been to the Philly market, the station. But you know what? A farmer's market works best when it's in the country. And people will do that. They will come here for that. And so if you could do something like that, this is something we designed for somewhere else. So it's not like, they already designed our public market. But in this example, we have a few little permanent vendors. All these are little things. All these are little booths that are set up. Here's a couple folding tables. Remember, goal number one, bring our millennials back. This creates an incubator. Because you know what? A lot of your retail spaces rent for like $70 a square foot per year. We were like, oh, how's a millennial, a risk taker, going to afford to even get retail in downtown Flemington? Well, maybe they start here, and they're so successful here that they buy a building or they rent a building, and all of a sudden now they're part of the community. So you start with this. But you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if sometimes there's no market in there, you clear it all out? Wouldn't it be cool if you did the Central Jersey Home Show? Or the New Jersey Garden Show, do a home and garden show, or do, a culinary showcase, a brew fest, arts and crafts fairs, quilt shows, pottery shows, all these things that reinforce your brand and all of a sudden make you a destination. And when you clear out all that space, look at all this. This is all open space. And you could even, maybe it would have 2 levels, that you'd have some incubator little businesses above, they'd overlook that. And I'm going to bring up something, the white elephant in the room, the hotel. You want that to change or get redeveloped, whatever. Right now, it's not feasible. You do this, now all of a sudden you created the feasibility to get that redeveloped. And that's what's really important. We need the anchor tenant in downtown because this historic courthouse is not enough. This, I hate to tell you that this is not open to the public. They stand outside for 5 minutes and they go, I've been there, I've done it. That's why you have to move beyond just this. And by the way, this is very important. But that is why we need an anchor tenant like this. Is this cheap? No. But without an anchor tenant in your downtown, you will never get off the dime. Because Liberty Village is no longer your anchor tenant. Matter of fact, Simon that owns it just built a brand new one 30 minutes away from Philly in New Jersey. What does that tell you? What's the writing on the wall? Yeah. And so you need to do this. So if we go back to that original list where he had all this stuff, we're incorporating all of them. An amazing downtown. Interactive art in your downtown. Health and wellness is the core central thing. We would love it in that public market that during the winter people could just walk around in there every morning. Whether it's raining, snowing, ice. They have an indoor place that's there. It's a public gathering place, and it's not a farmer's market. It is a public market and pavilion. All of these things, life-enriching experiences, your incredible history. And even in front of this historic courthouse, we want to see a really cool interpretive display, not like that one, but that talks about the Lindbergh trial, what happened, when it happened, the theories, so that people, when they stand here, they can read something about it. I don't know how many people come and say, somewhere in downtown there's this historic courthouse. There's nothing anywhere that says what this place is about. And so doing things like that are part of it. And we need to activate Main Street. In Asheville, North Carolina, they do a really cool thing. This is like a bus shelter, but what they do is they allow artisans to come in there with these little trays. And these trays are all full of locally crafted art, leather, you name it. And every day they put them out there. And if you had 2 or 3 of those, and I don't want to put them in front of any of your historic homes, but there are some places in downtown, like in front of the post office down there, whatever that gets to, there are some great places where you could do this. And what it does, it activates Main Street. And every one of these is an incubator. It's a small business. And by creating these kinds of places, you will start to make your downtown alive. Because one of the common threads in that questionnaire is give us something to do. Wouldn't it be cool if we had chess tables downtown? We want to get your artisans making chess tables and putting them downtown. And by the way, in Asheville, population 70,000, I asked them, well, how often are you missing chess pieces? They said, we do miss chess pieces, and it's not that people took them, the birds take them. Really? I said, we just have a bunch of chess pieces, and if we're missing one, they don't all match. We just make sure we do have opposite colors. And so Doing those kinds of things. This is an old Woolworth store in Asheville that they turned into an art market. You have some empty space and we can do pop-up art markets. You know, and they've got one that does photography and leatherwork and pottery and you name it. Wouldn't it be cool if you did some things? This is called yarn bombing, where people are taking yarn and they're dressing up things like the bike rack, like trees. And I know there's going to be people saying, oh my gosh, we have this historic downtown and now you're going to try to do that. You know what? We want you to be cool. We want you to be country cosmopolitan, which somebody said. You got to do some cool things. You got to have some risk takers here. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of eclectic in the history. You know, this is over on the Highline Trail in New York. I thought it was a really cool drinking fountain. It looks like you're kissing the person there. You know, but it's interactive. You know, in one town they did this: before I die, I want to love myself. You know, and people, they sit there and write what they want to do before they die. We even thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could take trees downtown and put all kinds of wind chimes on them? Wouldn't it be cool if one tree had little bells, you know, tinker bells? One tree had little wind chimes so that when you come downtown, you hear it, you feel it, it's alive. You know, I mean, when I was here doing the assessment, I gave the grill check a bad time. And I said, you know, the red awning out there doesn't really go with the historic homes and buildings you have here. But, you know, now that we're back and we see what you want in this eclecticness, I thought, you know what? There is absolutely nothing wrong with mixing a little bit of modern urbanism with your historic downtown. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not saying we're going to take your beautiful historic homes and all of a sudden gingerbread them all up into something else, but there's nothing wrong with this. You know, this here, I mean, that's all a painting, by the way. Doing this kind of art. We call this interactive art, where people are engaged with the art. This is actually painted on a sidewalk. So is this. That's actually painted on a sidewalk. It's not freestanding. Doing those kinds of things. Lighting up your homes, your historic homes, and doing these kinds of things could be really, really cool. You know? So those are just a few of the ideas to make downtown and the product development bring alive. So now that we did that, we know what our focus is. We know what the product is, public market plaza. And by the way, the plaza could work with retail around it. It could be a perfect private development plaza. Now that we know all that, what's the brand story? And a brand is a promise and an expectation. So how do you make it different? How do you make it memorable? How do you make it evoke emotion? How do you get people to say, oh my gosh, yeah? How do you do that? Here was our mission: to maintain Flemington's ownership as the healthiest community in New Jersey. I know it's Hunterdon County, but you know what? We're in Grass Valley. You're the heart of Hunterdon County. You're the county seat. You need to own this too. And then to expand that to include Central Jersey's most playful and creative place to live, establish a business, and to visit. That is your mission statement. Now, what's the promise? What are you promising people? And here it is. We promise you a playful, engaging, and creative experience while enjoying life in New Jersey's healthiest community. That's what we're promising people. You want to shorten it down? Which I always like doing. Flemington, healthy, playful, and creative living. Fun, engaging, interactive. And if you do this, you will bring the millennials back. You will be the poster child. And you know, I have a good friend here, Jeff sitting over there, who runs New Jersey Main Street. He's got 46 cities. He doesn't. You can join Main Street as an affiliate. He doesn't have room to take on a full one. You know what I want you to do? I want you to outperform all 46 of those. Jeff's going, thanks a lot, Roger. But you know what I mean? You have the potential to do this. to do this, to make this really cool. Our brand pillars are healthy living, life-enriching culture, music, interactive art, and then nightlife. That's the goal. We need to do this. We need to make this a cool place to hang out. We need to have those public markets. And by the way, even with your social media, and here's one thing about brands, is we can't just do brands marketing. This has to be more than skin deep. If you don't live it and own it as local residents, it's not going to be sustainable. And so we need to do something that will bring locals into living the brand. And I thought, on social media, this is not the advertising campaign that you're about to see, but I thought another reason why we live live. First of all, we want you to tell the world that you love Flemington. Instead of saying, well, I like Flemington, but so-and-so, can't stand them. So could you do something like that? You know, I saw this little ad. You wouldn't eat 22 packs of sugar. Why are you drinking them? You want to live long and prosper? Learn how at FlemingtonFresh.org. And by the way, we already grabbed that domain name, so don't even try. See what I mean? What we're trying to do is encourage the locals. You know, nourish your heart. Learn how at FlemingtonFresh.org. So to win, you need to make a bold statement. You need to claim it. You need to own it. Evoke emotion. You know, make it memorable. Elevate yourself above the fray. And so now, the look and feel of the brand. So, we say simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci. And you're going to see some concepts right now. They're only concepts. One of the recommendations is to develop a brand style guide. So we use some photography that was stock photography, because we don't have the Flemington photography yet. So we don't want you to say, well, that wasn't taken in Flemington. But we were trying to show you the feeling that we want to portray. Life is too short to drink cheap beer. Always brewing award-winning masterpieces. We want to run ads. We want to send a message out along this line. And by the way, I think you're going to get a microbrew. I think I can't remember if that's right or not. But you know what? If you don't have one, we want to get one. It is right? Okay, that's what I thought. It's cool. And as a matter of fact, it was just approved. We think this is, we want to sell that feeling. Okay, here's another one. You know what? Offering natural works of art every single day. Notice you're going to see some little Flemington Freshes in there. But what's we're getting? We're mixing art with healthy living. Flemington. So if you use photography like that, we even thought, man, we could do these really cool crates and actually sell them. And then we thought, what about this? Flemington presents the art of baking at Main Street Market. How cool is that? Locally sourced, fresh. And so then we thought, well, so in messaging, so I'm going to read this because I know it's hard for you to read back there. But let me give you some thoughts on messaging. So here's why I'm going to read it. This, by the way, I'm not reading the text on those, so this is what it might say. Flemington has always been the first, the best, the finest, and the most dramatic at just about everything it does. Home to the first premium outlets in the country, the best in glamorous furs, some of the finest examples of historic architecture, and one of the prettiest main streets in America, and that's not a quote from you, that's quotes from architects. And home to the drama of the Lindbergh trial. There it is. First, best, finest. Building on this legacy, Flemington is now setting the standard of one of the healthiest communities in the Northeast. Home to a beautiful and walkable downtown, groundbreaking and engaging art, one of the best collections of locally sourced eateries in New Jersey, and the incredible Main Street Market and Plaza. No wonder Flemington has become the new standard bearer for healthy, creative, and artistic living. That's the kind of message we want to put out there. Now, we can't put it out there until that's true. Flemington. Wouldn't it be cool if we did ads like this? It says, thanks for understanding, Flemington. And then we took a quote that we found. I'm an artist. That means I live in a fantasy world with unrealistic expectations. Thanks for understanding. Typical artist. Am I right, Kevin? He's going up. But then, you know what? I took that quote. I put, these are the very souls we love, embrace, nurture, and foster, turning those unrealistic expectations into realized dreams. After all, without art and the free thinkers it inspires, where would we be as a human race? This is the kind of messaging you need to get out there. You know, even when it comes to this, is there any other way? And we're talking about locally sourced and irresistible eateries and food. Is there any other way to treat your palate? You'll find it in Flemington. You know, we even played with this, introducing the new spring line. Only at the incredible Main Street Market in beautiful downtown Flemington. You know, even doing things like that, Jersey's healthiest spot, join us. By the way, that picture was taken in Princeton. We need that in Flemington. And then we thought, well, how do businesses take advantage of this? So we picked one. We just did the fudge shop. We couldn't find a really good photo of fudge. But so we did, there are 4 basic food groups: milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate, and chocolate truffles. And then you could add something like you'd find them all at the fudge shop. So there's no reason why businesses can't get right into this and use this messaging, because when you have everybody singing out of the same hymnal, you win. Then you develop the action plan. Branding, what is it you want to be known for? We got it. Development, what do we need to do so we own it? Some heavy lifting. I'll tell you right now, the projects we're mentioning cost millions. But if you don't do something, and if you don't take the risk, and by the way, we have never seen a town or city that put in a public market or a plaza that has not seen an amazing return on investment. Not one in the United States. People build plazas, but if you don't program them, you haven't accomplished anything. You just have a dead space. Development, what do you have to do to own it? How do we tell the world? And this is a to-do list. And we don't believe in strategic plans. Strategies, goals, objectives should take no more than 3 pages. Give me a list. Let's work down the list. There will be a description of the recommendation. Who's charged with it? By the way, this is not, there will be things for the borough. There will be things for the bid. There will be things for historic preservation. There will be things for Rotary. There will be things that the school board should be doing, that the state might be doing. This list is about everybody has a role to play. Who's charged with implementation? And what's it going to cost? Where does the money come from? When would it be done? And what's the rationale for doing it? That's an action plan. And by the way, your plan won't be any more than 100 pages, including all the graphics and everything. The last thing you need is another big, huge, thick plan that you only read the executive summary and then you set it on a shelf. I mean, it's going to get to the point. And by the way, the reason we're here to help facilitate this is because if you want to win, we got to get everybody on the same page, because you're not. You're not. Even in your own organizations, you're not on the same page. Because you know what? You want to see Flemington's Economic Development Express? There it is. Really clipping along, isn't it? Well, guess what? You're about to go from that to that. And that's what's cool. Finally, you got to make something happen. And by the way, wouldn't it be cool if these were little bookmarks? And these little bookmarks, you just hand them out. And on the back might be a healthy living tip. It might be an art tip. It might be just a little tip, and you give these away. I'm not sure how long people will still be reading books, physical books. But, you know, these are inexpensive. They're like half a cent a piece. And they all illustrate, you know, what you're about. And on the back of them has some great little tip. You know, wouldn't it be great if you had pole banners? You know, decorative pole banners in your downtown. And they might look like these. You know, these are just some ideas. We want it to be organic. You know, and we still want it to fit with your historic architecture. A little mix of eclectic, funky, and history. They might look like these. These are all pole banners. One of the first things you're going to do is the very best of Flemington, a little brochure that promotes your top restaurants, your top retail shops, and your top attractions and activities. And we called it masterpieces, the very best of Flemington. We'd like to see you do posters, now playing the sounds of Main Street, Flemington, New Jersey. And these posters would be in the high school, they'd be in the library, they'd be in town hall, they'd be everywhere. County court, you name it, everywhere, so that people understand what you're trying to do. Wouldn't it be cool to do this? Flemington presents Main Street Market. Is that cool or what? We stole that from Chelsea Market. Or no, that was in Toronto, I think, this picture. But we want one for you. Outstanding year-round fun. Wouldn't it be cool if all of a sudden we had new look and feel, so we took the mayor and used his business card and created a new one for him. And by the way, don't panic, Borough Council, we're not, if the city said we need to keep our crest the way it is, and I can't remember what's in it, I think the courthouse is in it, that's fine. The logos and stuff you're seeing here, they're marketing. But anyway, we just thought, let's have some fun with it. Even the bid, I give the bid a bad time, have you ever said, hey, man, let's go over to Jersey City. They have a really cool bid. I thought, you guys should be Destination Flemington. It's about Flemington, not the bid. And so, just coming up with some different stuff. Then you got to keep the energy high and never fold to the naysayers. I love this quote. Forget all the reasons why something may not work. You only need to find one good reason why it will. And you cannot fold to the cavers. Citizens against virtually everything. And you've got a few. And by the way, our brand leadership team, if that's you, I'll describe you in a real easy quote. A diamond is merely a lump of coal that did well under pressure. And that is what we're looking for. Then you've got to go tell the world. Once we start getting this stuff going, we'd like to see you do really cool wayfinding signage. That's a historic feel. This is where we really needed to fit the historic architecture. So we actually have the historic poles and then the hanging signs there. Things like this. And then we even did pedestrian signs, and we couldn't fit, Liberty Village there. We just put premium outlets, Stengel Factory, turntable shop, public parking, visitor information. We need some pedestrian wayfindings to make you walkable, to live up to that part of the brand. And then vehicular signs, which might look different depending on where they're at. Signs that might look like this. And by the way, we know that we're on the wrong side facing the wrong way when we took this picture out there. But just doing those kinds of things, it tends to fit better into your historic architecture. And by the way, we'd like to see you get rid of this kind of stuff. And nothing against the Board of Taxation. We want to fit your architecture. Fit who you are as a community. Wouldn't that be cool? And by the way, we're not suggesting the mayor go out and buy a fleet of vehicles. But, just doing these kinds of things that just illustrate who you are. Wouldn't it be cool, because you're all about healthy living and food and everything, wouldn't it be cool if you had cutting boards that people could buy like that? The aprons like that. We want Susan up at Teaberry to get these little tea carts. Just kidding. But, it's doing stuff like that. Just having fun with it. Being organic. These cool little coasters right here. Flemington Fresh. Wouldn't it be cool if people wanted to buy and wear Flemington t-shirts or Flemington Fresh or having coasters like that? You have artisans that could do this stuff, Flemington. And then number 13, last one, you revisit this plan every single month, and there's the keywords, never, ever give up. This is a plan that sits on your desk, not on a shelf. And with that, here's to the very bright future of the incredible Flemington. And it's been an honor for us to work with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. What you have here is really, truly special. Now, here's what's going to happen. For the next half hour or so, talk to our team. Look for anybody wearing a little badge. Talk to them. You know, tell them you want to be involved, or tell them where you think you help, or give them some ideas. And we're not changing the brand. Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, I forgot to do this. I'd like our team to stand. Everybody wearing a badge, stand up. Now, before you do anything, wait. I want to tell you what happened this week. Every single person you see standing, stay standing. They were here Tuesday morning. They were here Tuesday afternoon. They were here Wednesday morning. They were here Wednesday afternoon. They were here yesterday morning. They were here yesterday afternoon. They've been on numerous calls with us. They've been reading 236 pages of what you said. They have put their hearts and souls, and you know what? None of them got a paid one single dime to be part of this. They all did it because they absolutely love Flemington, and now they deserve a hand. So talk to them, and thanks so much for coming out this morning. Thank you very much.